Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.
Paul Stone. So I bring on Paul Stone, who has a Substack, and he's always writing about this kind of stuff. And he's the one who told me that the unemployment rate, remember I had him on and that woman whose name I'm also blanking, and I think I'm getting demented. I can't remember names. And that woman, that New York Times bestseller, and they both agreed that the unemployment rate is not what they say it is, that it's much higher. And then remember how they was telling you that they've created millions of jobs? Remember, well, Chuck Schumer got on stage. Carol Roth. Chuck Schumer got on stage at the Democratic convention.
President Biden's leadership, Senate Democrats lowered prescription drug prices and created millions of good-paying American jobs.
Turns out that it's not true. They didn't create millions and millions of good-paying jobs, because now there's a new report out from their own government, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, breaking. U.S. Department of Labor made a 28% downward revision. So remember when they would come out and say, "Oh, we've gained all these jobs. We gained 300,000 jobs this month." And then 2 or 3 months later, they would go, "Yeah, it turns out it was a lot less than that. It wasn't 300. It was like 80." They would do that every month, and I was like, no one talks about this. Well, here it is. The U.S. Department of Labor made a 28% downward revision of employment for the past year, a whopping 818,000 job reduction. No surprise. The money stock is now lower than it was in July 2022. The data-dependent Fed is flying blind. Unreliable data. So here, let me play this for you. This is how it was reported on the Fox News.
Well, this was breaking last hour. Stunning new numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The department says that the United States added 818,000 fewer jobs than initially reported. That was between March of 2023 and 2024. And that makes the largest downward employment revision in 15 years. More than 800,000 jobs just vanished, just like that, in what appears to be a sign of a weak and vulnerable job market. Hello.
So that's what's really happening. They keep telling you, oh, the employment rate's only this, the employment rate is the blah. Or so, and why do they raise, remember, why do they raise interest rates? They raise interest rates to curb inflation. How does that curb inflation? Because it creates unemployment. So you got to get unemployment up so you can curb inflation. There's other ways to do it, but that's the preferred way from the Fed. It's not to try to somehow find a way to curb corporate gouging, price gouging, which is what they're doing. They certainly did it during COVID. So let's go back to here. Let me get you a bigger view of that. This is from Kobesi letter. So it's an economic letter. I saw this. It says current situation. U.S. job additions revised lower by 818,000. That's the largest reduction since in 15 years. U.S. unemployment rate is up to 4.3%, the highest since 2021. Now, it's much higher than that. The U.S. unemployment rate is probably somewhere above 15%. Paul Stone says it's around 20-25, which would be at the level of the Great Depression. But I can't imagine it's actually that high, but that's what Paul says. Carol Roth says it's probably somewhere around 10-15%. Okay. 5 out of the last 6 jobs reports have now been revised lower. Like I told you, every month they do that. They go, oh, we made all these jobs, and then, no, we did it. A record number of Americans are now working multiple jobs, and the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its purchasing power. And that's what Paul keeps talking about. Meanwhile, the U.S. deficit spending at a percentage of GDP is at World War II levels. So it's as if we're in World War II. That's how much money the government is spending. But we're not in a war. Government spending right now is as if we are in a major crisis, but we're not supposed to be in a major crisis. So what do you do then when we're in a major crisis? Because that's what people have been saying, right? So they just print money to get out of the last crisis. The stock market crashed in 2008. And now they just kept printing money all along. And now they're creating $1 trillion in debt every couple of months. They're just printing money, which lowers the value of the dollar. Is this really what the Fed meant by soft landing? That's I get it. United States. So that's where we're at. But now watch this. The United States Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, demonstrates how team sports fandom immunizes people from information that they don't like. So now she's going to be presented with that information, I think, on ABC News here. So they're going to tell her, hey, you know, all those jobs you said Biden and Harris created, they didn't. Turns out there's almost 1 million less jobs. And watch how she responds. Oh, where's that video? Here it is. Watch how she responds.
This new numbers could be a liability for this campaign?
No, when I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
It's from the Bureau of Labor. I'm not familiar with that. You're not familiar with the Bureau of Labor? Or you're not familiar with those numbers and you want to just pretend it's not true because Donald Trump said it? This is the U.S. Secretary of Commerce. And when she's presented with a fact from the Bureau of Labor, same administration, her flex is to blame it on Donald Trump, a guy who hasn't been president for almost 4 years, and say he's a liar. And then when she said, no, this is from the Bureau of Labor, well, I'm not familiar with that. What? Want to watch that again? I do. Let's play that.
Potentially think that this new numbers could be a liability for this campaign?
No, when I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Really? Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Trump's a liar. That's all they got.
Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.